here is, by the way, you and Allison Gill on Daily Beans, the podcast you co-host, talk a lot about what's going to happen. It starts next week now, June 9th, the January 6th hearings. But you're right. This is Kevin McCarthy, despite being on tape, right? Condemning Trump for January 6th, being on the phone, telling him to tell his mob to back down. Here he is yesterday. Kevin McCarthy yesterday.
This is purely political. Why would Nancy Pelosi, never in the history of Congress, not allow the minority to appoint their own people?
Oh my God.
It's devised, and why would they pick it and kind of write out the deadline? The Senate already had a bipartisan committee on both sides look at it and put out a report.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Lies. All lies.
There are Republicans on the committee. She wouldn't let him appoint people that were a part of the insurrection that were
Absolutely.
to investigate the insurrection,
Yeah.
like Jim Jordan. So the House committee investigating January 6th has told Jim Jordan it still expects him to comply with the subpoena and do so by June 11th. They had set May 27th, and now are giving him more time. Last week, he responded to the committee by contesting its constitutionality, outlining a list of demands the panel must meet in order for him to even consider moving forward. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. The committee warned Jordan he must appear for the deposition no later than June 11th, calls his arguments pushing back on the validity of the subpoena misplaced. They also note cooperation with this investigation could give Jordan an opportunity to resolve on the record inconsistencies in your public statements about the events of January 6th. For instance, you offered inconsistent public statements regarding when and how many times you spoke to President Trump on January 6th. You've also claimed you never said the election was stolen, despite numerous public statements to the contrary. I mean, this is what they're afraid of, is they're going to put all of this on TV starting next week, right? The actual them on tape saying the opposite. Yeah, go ahead.
It's okay. There should be more hearings. We'll see how these go, because all these guys do is sit there and grandstand for an hour and not answer the question. And so I don't know. I'm hoping this is beneficial so that the American public can see it. But we know these guys are going to try and stonewall these hearings. They do it every single time.
Yeah. Well, I have to hope that, look, first of all, the Durham investigation, as Allison and all of us have been saying for a long time, there's no there. So the Durham investigation is blowing up.
That was embarrassing.
Right. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Lost badly. And by the way, someone made the point, by the time prosecutors usually bring these cases, they never lose. No. That's why most of the time they don't bring them. He lost whatever to 0 on the jury and had a jury person say this was a complete waste of time.
Also, I believe the judge said, had the jury come back with the verdict, I would have ignored it. I think the entire thing was ridiculous. It was embarrassing.
Right. So Roger Stone, it's all the same wheel of criminal mother, isn't it?
Yes.
He said this week he was going to start suing people after the the Michael Sussman, the guy who was just acquitted, was found not guilty on charges of lying to the FBI. He suggested the trial was unfair because the jury pool in D.C. is corrupt. You know what they mean by corrupt? Black. Stone insisted the conspiracy goes all the way to Hillary Clinton. Why the hell hasn't she been charged? Stone asserted the Democrats are conspiring to accuse Trump and his supporter of crimes. Right, maybe because they committed, what's the word I'm looking for? Crimes. It's starting all over again, he said. I'm getting ready to start suing people. I mean, here we go, right? They had hoped that this was enough of a look over there. And as we've been saying from day one, this Durham investigation was nothing, right? All right, one more Kevin McCarthy on this. Disinformation about January 6th. Here we go.
Why was the Capitol so unprepared that day? Why were the police officers not trained as well? Why were the riot gear locked in a bus down the street? Why wasn't the warning given to members themselves? All these different things. What has changed to make sure that Capitol will be more prepared so nothing like this could ever happen again?
Yeah, all great questions. I'm so glad you were in focus today.
Thanks for coming. I'm Laura Ingraham. Okay, Dana.
Yes, dear.
If nothing else, just to play him on, January 7th on the House floor, to hear the testimony about him on the phone with Trump on January 6th, I understand trying to rewrite history, but it was just it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
right? I mean,
if Democrats are smart, and I don't know how the hearings are going to work, that they should have bought airtime with ads before and after, because obviously during there's probably no commercials. with tapes of them saying one thing the day after and what they're doing now. McConnell on the floor saying Trump's responsible and what they're doing now. Like, they really should have bought airtime on whatever station this was playing it before and after, so that people will not forget, no matter what they hear during, what actually happened.
Yeah. And I think there are, good news things along the way. That a federal appeals court that had just ruled that those who engage in the insurrection can be barred from running for office in the future. This comes from a challenge to Madison Cawthorn, who lost anyway because,
Right.
I mean, if he was face-humping a female cousin, that would have been different. But,
Well, you also have to remember, it wasn't because he helped with an insurrection or believed in that. It's because he
Right.
ratted people out on cocaine and porn and orgies or whatever it was.
Blah, blah, blah. What was I going to say? So Marjorie Taylor Greene, if she is charged in the future by the Justice Department and convicted, this ruling holds that she could be barred from running for office. I mean, that would seem
That's
like
hope.
like a no-brainer to me that you should not. This is part of the problem, is how unprecedented this is, Dana. Is they're in? The call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
The insurrectionists are inside the house.
Literally inside the house.
Yes,
literally
the house.
inside the house.
Yeah. I love me some Dana Nessel, the Michigan Attorney General.
Yes,
I just think
me too.
Yeah, okay. I know she's a hot lesbian. Let's move on from that to the fact
I'm
that
just saying, hey, there's not a coincidence. Her name's Dana. She happens to be gay. Dana,
Okay.
I mean,
smart,
She's
brunette,
smart, yeah.
hot. Okay.
keep going.
But there just has to be accountability at every level. She reportedly said this week she expects charges related to a coordinated effort to overturn the results of the 2020 election. I mean, let's hope this happens, that there's true accountability in Georgia as well. But she said the target of the investigation was said to be supporters of former President Trump. She told the paper her office has been investigating an unprecedented and uncoordinated push to overturn the election on behalf of Trump. So, and I know Allison Gill, your podcasting partner, is always pretty bullish on that there will be accountability at the end of the day, whether it's DOJ, Michigan, Georgia. And again, we keep having to say January 6th committee is not an investigative body. They can't charge anybody. But I do think it'll go a long way toward educating the public. What are you hoping for or expecting from the hearing starting next week?
What am I expecting and what am I hoping for are different.
Yes.
Like, what I'm expecting is, like I said before, I think they're going to stonewall a lot of the questions. They're going to try and make a circus of this thing. Yeah. What I'm hoping for is that the general public actually hears the facts. The problem is all of the people that think this was just tourists that were upset because that's what the GOP is telling them. I don't know if they can be reached. And so that's the problem here is, will this hearing help independents who aren't sure? Will this hearing be something that at least it's in the public domain so that we all know the truth, even if some people still don't believe it? Our country is so polarized between this part that's been brainwashed and this part that believes in facts. I'm not sure how much the hearings are going to help the general public, but at least the facts will be. That are indictments that come from this after they have gone to the Department of Justice, that at least that they're backed up in the public domain by people that witnessed it. So maybe it won't be as argued against, if that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know. I have a cold. I don't know what I just said.
It was imbued with a lot of mucus that had extra mucus and, latest mass shootings, including the school shooting, that, I think we can take these, I don't know what you want to call them, what kind of issues they are, but this whole, GOP claiming to be the party of parents, and that's how they won in Virginia. And I really, do most Americans, Dana, think kids learning that gay people exist is more of a threat than guns?
No,
I mean,
no.
Or that teachers should be human shields, but they can't be trusted to know what to teach.
No, in fact, I think 80% of the country, it might even be higher, and that's Democrats and Republicans, believe in common sense gun reform. They believe in universal background checks. They believe that people should not have military grade weapons.
Right.
They don't care that Josh is finding out that Jim's got 2 moms. Like, most people don't care. Unfortunately, you've got these Republicans in these, I don't know what to call them, red states, these voter suppressed states that are making these rules and these laws and doing this in the schools. And the only way to get this to change is to vote. And I know we're tired of hearing it because we did vote, and we need to show up in numbers again that they're too hard to manipulate, and it's harder than ever. But no, the general public, and I'm not even just talking about people that listen to Stephanie Miller or the Daily Beans or the people that we know are in our bubble. most Republicans don't care. We have to remember there's a lot of Republicans and independents that have gay children, that have lesbian or bisexual or transgender children. Yeah. Unfortunately, they're not protected either because the people they're voting for are actually trying to make laws against their own families. I mean, how hard would that be to live in Texas and be like, I'm a Republican, but I've got a trans kid. I love my kid, and now I don't know what to do, which is absurd. You should take care of your child, but they don't know what to do either.
Right. I mean, there's been reporting that, Biden is even frustrated with, I know I'm frustrated with the media. I sometimes say I'm surprised he doesn't have a 0% approval rating based on, I mean, how they just ignore these historic accomplishments and just dwell on anything. And frankly, stuff that's not his fault. Whether it's gas prices or inflation. So Biden announced new shipments of baby formula from Europe on Wednesday. He's prepared to meet with top officials from 5 baby food companies. Again, the plant, that shut down because they screwed up is not Biden's fault. Right. I mean, he's done everything he can and continues to, I think, to fix that problem. But he never gets credit for fixing a problem. I mean, the media, they won't focus on the price gouging at the pump. The price of oil isn't up. It's the price gouging that they, and companies know it. They know people are dumb enough to blame Biden, and the media will go along with it, and they can get away with it.
And that's also why you have people like Josh Hawley and whoever else tweeting about, oh, the oil prices, the gas prices, it's Biden's fault. You just voted against lowering them. It's the oil company, but they come out publicly and they're like, oh, look at these prices. I'm like, you had an opportunity, and that's why we have to continue to remind people their voting records, all of this rhetoric, all of the hypocrisy. You have to keep putting it out there. We have to.
And they're not just not doing anything to make anything better. They will actively try to make everything worse before November.
That's what's happening. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. John in Wyoming, the home of our favorite velociraptor, Liz Cheney. Hello, John. Welcome. John.
Good morning.
Hi, go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering if you had heard anything about it's House Resolution HR 4953. It would change the way what it says here. It puts semi-automatic rifles with capacity to accept detachable magazines treated as a firearm under the National Firearms Act. And there's 8 Democrats that have co-sponsored this thing, and it's been sitting in committee in the House and Ways and Means Committee since last August, and I haven't heard nobody talking about it. I'm just wondering if you would be interested in
okay. All right.
Talking about it.
All right, John. I don't. Jana, would you like to Google that particular? Travis, are you there? Would you like to Google that particular number, Bill? Okay. I'm not even sure if that was a gunsplainer. I'm not sure what that was. I don't know what it was, but Dana, here's the thing. What gives me heart? When have you heard of the Republican governor of Texas getting booed and the Democratic president getting cheered in Texas? Yeah. Which just happened. I mean, as I keep saying, I want to believe David Hogg when he says this time is different, that his generation is going to stop this. And not, again, tomorrow, but yeah, hopefully.
I really hope so. I mean, but I want to have hope in this specific area. There's trends, you can tell that the interactions on social media, they go up and up and up, and then they take a swift dive a couple days later because it's out of the public discourse, and we have to keep it in the public discourse. And what's sad is that we're going to have another incident, probably multiple, unfortunately, before November. But this has to be it, because this is not a political division issue. It's really not. There's a lot of gun holding Republicans that, like I said, believe in common sense gun reform. The responsible gun owners are the ones that need to speak out more than ever. And Democrats going, listen, I've got guns at home. No one wants to take your guns, but an AR-15 does not need to be on the street for anyone. No civilian should have this in their possession.
We just had someone call that it was, what was his relative that
invented it.
AR, and anyone that did that has said, I did not mean this for civilians. The inventors of these guns said that, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know people that worked, and I know this is a strange comparison, but I know families that worked on the bomb in Los Alamos. Mm-hmm. They never thought it was going to be used for what it was used for.
Yeah.
And I know that was a 1 or 2 time thing during wars, but this is different. I mean, if if even the person who invented this thing has said this was not, they need to be speaking out louder than ever. Responsible gun owners need to be speaking out louder than ever right now, because it's just these fringe areas. It's these people in that are saying, don't take my guns, don't take my guns. They're very loud. We know that that's not what the Second Amendment was for. We just do.
Yeah.
It's not with full freedom to do whatever you want with them.
Yep. Kevin in DC. Hey, Kev, you're on with Dana. Hello.
Good morning, everybody, and hey, Dana, I hate that the pandemic and everything is preventing me from ever meeting you personally at a show or something. I hear you give great hugs, so hopefully
The best hugger.
one time in the future. Yes.
Yep.
I do.
But I was going to comment on how I find it disgusting that there are laws to protect animals against getting shot, but many people, including most prominently Republicans, apparently don't mind humans, even children, getting killed because they don't want laws. But I thought you'd like some comic relief. Have you heard about what Trump said about Susan Sarandon?
No.
What? No. What did Trump say about Susan
Did you
Sarandon?
put an extra syllable in Sarandon? I think you
Sarandon.
did, but that's not
Sarandon.
important now.
Right. Well,
It's what
he
Susan
said made me
Sarandon
wanna-
uses to cover fruit in a bowl.
Yeah,
Sarandon.
what she
Sarandon and
said
wrap.
made me want to. Yeah, what she said made me want to switch from with the Mary Cheney to Mary Trump, because Mary Trump said about Susan Sarandon that when Susan Sarandon suggested that voting for Republicans might be better,
Oh,
Mary said she's a complete idiot. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And if
Yes.
anyone can say with a straight face that the Democrats are the problem, I don't know what to tell them. How much enrages me. She's
Okay.
an idiot, but she thinks she's some wise shaman or something. So,
all right. Thank you, Kevin, for that story. I think in every circumstance, Dana, it's safe to say Mary Trump is right and Susan Sarandon is an idiot. I think it's safe
Across
to say
the
that.
board.
You don't even need to tell me what the thing was.
Nope, across the board.
Yeah. Oh, I see. It might be better in what way? That more children will be dead? In what way would it be better to vote? I don't want to know. Do I want to know what Susan's... Okay.